Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a short version podcast talking all things Pittsburgh sports. We try to infuse some sort of positivity, but today, well, I think it's going to be a little tough after what everyone saw at PNC Park yesterday. Anyway, today is Thursday, August 29th. Going to talk about that. Steelers named their starting quarterback. Surprise, surprise, it's going to be Russell Wilson under center. And, college football is one day closer to starting as well. Post-Gazette rolled out a whole bunch of stuff there. But, of course, the lead topic, it has to be the Pirates and the ongoing implosion. I've never seen anything like that on many different levels. My column today described the post-game atmosphere, feeling, what it was like to be in that clubhouse. I've covered some very bad games, some lopsided scores, some things that they've done very poorly, and everybody, sort of looks around. I can't believe what I just saw. I'm not sure I've seen experienced a more depressed environment after what they did, leading 10-3, allowing 11 unanswered runs, all in the final 3 innings, just a complete implosion from the bullpen. And it leaves obviously a whole bunch of questions to answer. And I think that's one of the things on this side of the fence where, we need to call for action or criticize or say this should happen, this needs to happen. There's not always a clear-cut solution. And to me, that's kind of where the Pirates are. And I'm not saying that, that means Derek Shelton should stay, Andy Haines should stay, anybody should stay. Maybe you should fire everybody. I don't know. But there are ramifications to all of that. Like if you magically fire Derek Shelton, does that make the bullpen pitch better? Probably not. If you fire Andy Haines, will that magically, fix all the other woes? Will that fix their fundamental problems? No. What if you fire Ben Cherington, all three, include Ben in that? Well, you're starting the entire plan over from scratch and taking another step further and work inside of what the Pirates normally do. And none of that, frankly, is what they normally do. And I'm not excusing it, but I'm just saying if you try to operate in reality, what can you expect? And if you make a move now, what would your through the end of the season, how would you get through the end of the season? Not that you can't. I'm just saying that is it Don Kelly? Is it somebody from the outside? Do they pull John Wayner from the announcers? But I don't know. But I think it's a loss like yesterday. You can't avoid those questions. You can't avoid the frustration. You can't avoid the bigger picture. And again, I've been around Derek Shelton a lot, and this is as emotional, frustrated, at his wit's end, whatever, as I've ever seen him. I wrote that in the column. It's not a saying like, oh, poor Derek Shelton. I think it gets interpreted that way. It's just everybody is wearing this. And you're talking about, if you kind of take a step back, what this season is supposed to be about. We're supposed to be getting better, supposed to be contending, all these things. It's so far off. It's so far off. And I don't know how it gets better, frankly. I mean, somebody will need to come up with a solution because the current product is obviously not good enough. They're 62-71. They have 29 games to go. Do you feel better about them, going 16-13 over those? I don't. They've lost 19 of 26 right now. Their ERA in August is 5.68, last in Major League Baseball. 11 games back in the wild card, 14.5 in the division. All of this while scoring 109 runs in August, which is 19th in MLB. A little lower than you would expect, but the offense really hasn't been the problem. Finishing games has been the problem. Bullpen has been the problem. Managerial decisions has been a problem, Fundamentals, defense, all that stuff. Now, I mean, the offense for a large part of the season has been a trouble spot. I'm not absolving anything, but there's just, there's no one magic solution here. David Bednar, so reliable over the past couple seasons. Now it's a very fair question. What do you do with him? You can't keep running him out there in save situations. Of course not. I actually don't have a huge problem with how Shelton managed the bullpen yesterday. I mean, maybe you could argue that you should have flipped Bednar and Chapman, but to me, that's not it. Bednar's got to get the job done. He hasn't gotten the job done. That's where the criticism resides. Yesterday the bullpen did not execute. There's no other way around it. It's really bad. It's really bad. There's just a lot of things wrong, a lot of frustration, a lot of dysfunction coming out of there, and it needs to turn around fast. I don't have a lot of confidence that it will, and I don't know what you do. I really don't. I mean, you can't feel safe, right? If you're Shelton, Andy Haines, even Ben, I don't know. But nobody should be feeling comfortable. Nobody should be feeling that the Pirates somehow met expectations. I tweeted this. I think I talked about it on this podcast yesterday, but I don't know how you can look at this season and say there's progress, even if they win 77 or 78 games. Just hasn't been. There are too many things that the Pirates do wrong. They're incomplete with. They're not getting enough out of this or that. It's just a lot of falling short. So, all right, we're going to take our usual midway through break. I got some football stuff to get back to on the other side. A couple more positive topics, although there's a Steelers injury that kind of worries me. We'll get into that, but first, a message from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
And welcome back to First 10 of about 3.5 more minutes here. The Steelers said, oh, by the way, I had promised Jeff Hathaward, and that did not work out. I ended up recording Hold My Cutter with Greg Brown and Michael McHenry last night, and that ran long, and we weren't able to link up on time. So I do want to get something with Jeff, but that's the reason you're not watching him. I should have offered that off the top. But anyway, so the Steelers named Russell Wilson their starting quarterback, which I found funny. Maybe Mike Tomlin has to do that. Anybody who's been around there, you know that Russell Wilson's the quarterback. It's not really a great mystery, although it does seem nationally that was a thing, not a thing. My takeaway from that, honestly, is they're probably going to need both guys. Russell Wilson can be the starter. I don't think we've heard the last of Justin Fields. And I don't know if that means, Russell Wilson can't go wire to wire and they need to bring in Justin Fields at some point. If they do, I like what I've seen in the preseason. I also think, and this was discussed a little bit, the Steelers would be wise to put in some sort of package or packages that include Justin Fields as a changeup option. I think that we're talking about somebody who's rushed for more than 2,200 yards in 3 seasons. Had over 1,000 yards in 2022, 14 career rushing touchdowns. This guy can help the Steelers, and he's a dual threat. It's not like you're putting somebody back there that really can't throw the ball. I mean, they would be wise to do this. Yes, you're running a little bit of a risk with your backup quarterback, but I think they'll be fine you'd rather have Fields, obviously, but if it ends up being Kyle Allen, if something disastrous happens, I don't know. But I would like to see them put in a package for Justin Fields and feature his athleticism a little bit. On the other side, Isaac Seumalo out with a pectoral injury, suffered in Wednesday's practice. Our Jerry Dulac is reporting, expected to miss about a month, I think, is what Jerry wrote. It's going to be a decision on whether he goes on the IR or not, or on IR or not. This is beginning to concern me. The offensive line has been very banged up. As much as I've been impressed by Zach Frazier, and you want to think that things are going to be fine with Broderick Jones, Troy Fautanu, Dan Moore Jr. keeps hanging around. And Ray Fittipaldo wrote about that. I believe it was Ray yesterday, and he's right. It's like they can't get rid of Dan Moore, but this is a banged up group right now, and it can't really afford to be a banged up group. Spencer Anderson will likely get the first crack at replacing Seumalo, and he's got all of 2 NFL snaps on his resume. Zach Frazier obviously has none. Fautanu, whenever he gets in, has none. He's also nursing an injury, and I think there are some legitimate concerns whether he can get back in time for the Falcons game. You've got James Daniels with some measure of experience. You have Dan Moore, and you have Broderick Jones, who has not played particularly well this preseason. You can say he's on the wrong side, maybe, but we're talking about a Steelers offense that is banking on being physical, that is banking on running the ball, that is also banking on Russell Wilson having enough time to throw downfield. And now they're really, really banged up. So concern there. We'll see what happens. College football wise, can't wait to check this out myself. I have not yet tore into it. It's going to be my afternoon probably to print and read and highlight and get all nerdy. I've got some prep work to do for Pitt, West Virginia. I love doing that stuff. I'm covering that one on Saturday, and I just love reading about storylines, writing them down, highlighting stuff, memorizing numbers. I turn it into a college class, but I think that's one of the things that I've enjoyed so much about college football is just learning more. So if you're like me, make sure you get a Post-Gazette today. You can learn more about Duquesne, Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia. There's all kinds of stuff in there. My contribution was a column comparing Pat Narduzzi and James Franklin, who's under more pressure. My answer, to not bury the lead, maybe I did that a little bit too much in the column, but would be Narduzzi. It's Narduzzi. I think Penn State has a better chance of reaching, what should be its first goal. I mean, they obviously have many goals, but you look at the college football playoff expanding to 12 teams, you would think, based on how Penn State has fared over the past 6 years or so, they've generally been in the top 10, top 15. You would expect them to make the playoff. Pitt, on the other hand, is coming off a 3-9 season, and there's a long way to go. Our Joe Starkey wrote kind of a contrasting column about, 7 wins isn't great or it shouldn't be good enough or whatever, and that's fine. I completely respect Joe's opinion, but there's still a long way to go between 3-9 and 7-5. So I think it's a steeper hill for Narduzzi to climb. You've got some understandable questions at quarterback, Nate Garnell, Eli Holstein. Who's going to take care of that? They lost a lot on the defensive line. Pitt's defense for so many years has been predicated on pressuring the quarterback and wreaking havoc. They didn't do enough of that last year. So to me, that's the bigger thing. And Penn State should be bolstered by its offense. I'm really looking for Penn State to have a strong offensive season. I think there's plenty up front. I really like Drew Aller, the running back combination they have, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, very, very good. I think the defense can be nasty. Abdul Carter, preseason All-American, really, really good player. Looking forward to seeing him. West Virginia. I think Franklin is set up better for what they need to achieve than Pitt is. But I mean, these are two very, very important guys. I can't believe this when I looked it up. We're talking double-digit tenure for both of them at their respective schools, and big seasons for each. Make sure you read about all of that. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get these videos every day, as well as plenty of other stuff from our Post-Gazette writers and columnists. Be back here one more time this week before taking a break for the weekend, and talk to you then. Thank you for watching First 10, everybody.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.